Namaste and Siddhi Pranam. Welcome to today's topic, which is practicing Yamas and Niyamas during pregnancy. Since we are inside Module 4, which is about philosophy and psychology for pregnancy, we have tried our level best inside of this module to extract and bring together as many as yogic tools and practices, insights and wisdom that could benefit a pregnant woman, and that could also extend its benefits to the motherhood journey. We have tried our level best to bring them together in a manner that would be insightful for a pregnant mother, and that will be insightful for you from an eye of a mother. So let's dive into looking at how Yamas and Niyamas can be beneficial for the journey of pregnancy as well as motherhood. So as we embrace the sacred journey of motherhood, where Yamas and Niyamas can intertwine like the threads of love and wisdom, and can weave a tapestry of mindful and compassionate nurturing for mindful and compassionate realm for both mother and the child. So the journey of motherhood is really a profound and transformative experience for a woman, and it compasses of multitude of emotions, from pure joy and unconditional love to the moments of challenge and self-discovery. And it is a journey of nurturing and growth, where a woman's heart expands as she forms an unbreakable bond with her child. And through the highs and the lows, motherhood brings an immeasurable fulfillment and purpose, revealing the incredible strength and the capacity for love that resides within a woman's soul. So in gratitude to all women who came before us, we know that the yoga practice can include women and birthing bodies. So by nature, the female body and mind is tuned to the divine feminine energy as it nurtures and gives birth, and they are the birth givers, and and also our protective mother bear instincts are very natural in the feminine energy. So it's no wonder that women are drawn to yoga as a way of spirituality and connect with the self and the baby also in a very profound way during pregnancy and postpartum. So it can provide that integrate connection that mothers is seeking, and yoga just has that power within itself as a practice or as a path to just give that right element of sense of interconnectedness, wisdom, love, compassion, care, and sense of nurturing for each other. All of that, which is very inherent to a mother's nature, also combines within this practice and the realm of yoga as well. So, embracing Yama and Niyamas during pregnancy. So Yamas and Niyamas serves as a very powerful tool and can be often described as golden keys that can unlock the spiritual growth within us. They guide our action from a place of deep connection and transform not only our physical body but also our mind and heart. And these principles are applicable to everyone, regardless of their spiritual belief or yoga practice. So by incorporating yoga, Yamas and Niyamas into our daily lives, we can create a positive change within ourselves and in the world around us. So embracing these principles can become a pathway to unity, self-improvement, and also a more meaningful existence for all of us. Since pregnancy is a very transformative period which is filled with immense physical, emotional, and spiritual challenges and changes as well. So it is during this time that the ancient principle of Yamas and Niyamas from yoga philosophy can hold a great significance at this point in time. So like a guiding star, these ethical and moral principles can illuminate the path to motherhood, and can offer a framework for creating a nurturing and mindful environment for both for mother and for the growing baby. So when we incorporate these principles of Yamas and Niyamas into our daily life during pregnancy, it can really set a stage for a healthy living practices that will not only benefit us, but also will give a very strong foundation for an upcoming generation or family that the mother is going to raise. So by consciously integrating these principles into our routine, we can establish a framework for living with an intention as well as cultivating self-awareness. And these mindful actions will become building blocks of a purposeful life and will enhance our well-being and impact our lives very positively and all lives around us very positively. Now, let's look at, the profound connection of Yamas and Nimayas during pregnancy and the connection between our daily lives and that how we can transform that within us. So the connection between Yamas and Nimayas and the journey of pregnancy is deeply rooted in the holistic philosophy of yoga. So Yamas and Nimayas, the ethical and moral principles of yoga, can provide very valuable guidance for the mothers and can allow them to navigate this transformative experience of pregnancy with mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness. So Yama is the first limb of yoga, which encompasses principles that shape our behavior towards others and the world. So the first principle that comes under Yama is ahimsa, which is the principle of non-violence, and that can encourage the pregnant women or the mothers to embrace gentleness and compassion towards themselves and their unborn child. And it also encourages them to prioritize self-care, make conscious choices that will promote well-being and emanate love and kindness towards their growing baby. Satya is the principle of truthfulness, which invites expectant mothers to honor their inner voice and express their authentic emotions, needs, and desires. And it also encourages to have open and honest communication with whoever surrounds them, whether it's family members or doctors or loved ones or to themselves. So by embracing truthfulness, women can really establish a very supportive network and foster trust and understanding during this transformative period of pregnancy. Asteya, which is the third ladder in the Yama, which means the principle of non-stealing. It can really encourage the mothers to respect their boundaries and avoid depleting their own energy or the resources around them unnecessarily. It reminds them to prioritize self-care once again and establish healthy boundaries and nurture their physical and emotional well-being. And by avoiding excessive self-sacrifice, women can maintain a balance between caring for themselves and their baby. So all the principles that are guided under Yama or Niyama can be interpreted in so many ways for being useful to a human life. But we have here tried our level best to portray it and conceptualize it and use the insight from this yogic principle and in favor of mothers and how they can extract best of the insights and wisdom so that it can benefit their journey. Brahmacharya is the fourth principle in the Yama ladder, and the principle Brahmacharya can be considered in many manners, and this principle is often connected with celibacy in general terms. But here we can extract the wisdom in this manner that it is the principle of moderation. Instead of considering it as exactly as from a celibacy point of view and leaving all sexual kind of intercourse or sexual interaction in any manner, rather than considering that, we can look at Brahmacharya from an angle of considering moderation in every aspect of life. if we see it from the angle of moderation, then this can really invite the expectant mothers to cultivate emotional balance and channel their energy wisely and adopt a mindful approach to their thoughts and actions and relationships. It can also encourage them to savor the present moment and maintain harmony in their physical, emotional, and spiritual realm. So next principle is aprigraha, which means the principle of non-possessiveness, which can encourage the mothers to release attachments, expectation, and fear. And it also invites them to surrender to the natural process of pregnancy and embrace the impermanence of each stage, find the contentment and gratitude in the present moment. And by letting go the need to control, women can experience a deeper sense of peace and acceptance. Now, Niyamas are the second limb of yoga, which focuses on personal observances and self-discipline. And it also complements the practice of yama and is nurturing a deeper connection with oneself and with the divine. So the first principle inside niyama is socha, which is the principle of cleanliness, and that encourages the mothers to cultivate purity in body, mind, and their environment. And it also involves maintaining a physical hygiene, consuming nourishing foods, and creating a clean and serene space for the baby's development. Now, santosha, which is the principle of contentment, is the second principle inside niyama, which can really invite the mothers to embrace gratitude, acceptance, inner peace throughout their pregnancy journey. And it also encourages them to find joy in each moment, celebrate the miracle of life, and also approach challenges with resilience and grace. Tapas is the third principle inside the Niyama ladder, and tapas is the principle of discipline and self-control, which encourages mothers to establish positive routines and engage in practices that support their physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It also involves, maybe practicing regular yoga or regular exercise, being regular at the meditative practices, and other self-care activities that will nurture their body and mind. Swadhyay, which is the fourth principle inside of the Niyama ladder, self-study. Swadhyay means self-study, and this promotes self-reflection, introspection, and also personal growth. And it also invites the mother to explore their own thoughts, beliefs, emotions, deepening their understanding of themselves, and evolving inside of the role of a mother. There is so much that we can talk about how self-study or any other principle for that matter can be so very deeply helpful for mothers, which we'll even dive deeper into in this chapter. But without putting it at practice, we cannot really know the greater benefits of this. So it will become so crucial to find out ways how to incorporate these principles as living practices in the lives of the mothers. And we have tried our level best inside the whole course that we are offering here to you, the Prenatal Yoga course, that how can we extract the best of the principles and the practices of yoga to bring it live for the mothers, and how can we offer them various practices to evolve as a human being as a whole, evolve spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. So that will be on to you how you would offer them all this in their platter. Now coming on to the fifth one, which is Ishvara Paridhana. Ishvara Paridhana is the principle of surrendering to the higher power, which invites the mothers to trust in the wisdom of life and surrender to the divine unfolding of pregnancy and motherhood. And it also encourages them to find solace, strength, and guidance in their spiritual beliefs and fostering a sense of connection and support. And by embodying these principles, mothers can really integrate the wisdom of Yama and Yama into their pregnancy journey and can foster a very harmonious and transformative experience for themselves and their baby. Now, how can we integrate Yama and Yama into motherhood? So, in her journey as a mother, she can really embrace the principle of ahimsa, which is embodying gentleness, tenderness, and care towards herself and her children. And she as a mother can acknowledge and release any critical and perfectionist thoughts that will allow her to soften more and be more compassionate and have a very compassionate approach also towards her personal life, her own journey in life otherwise, that will bring her back and anchor her back into the present moment all over again. And she can also recognize the transformative experience of becoming a mother and embracing the principle of Satya for striving to be a living example of truthfulness for her children. And she can use the principle of Satya from the standpoint that she's speaking and living in alignment to her true values and her authentic self. She can create a foundation of trust and integrity for her children to thrive for. Now, she can beautifully also integrate Asatya into her life, Astya into her life in a manner that Astya can guide her to cultivate generosity in her thoughts, words, and action. And she can practice gratitude for life she has and celebrate the unique journey of her own family without comparing or harboring any envy towards others. So instead, she can choose to uplift and support others in their milestone and successes. And being fully present with her children, she can embody the principle of brahmacharya, which is principle of brahmacharya can be the principle of moderation, where we can just leave aside all of that which doesn't matter, or wherever we are overdoing stuff, wherever we are overspending our time, money, resources, etc. Cut that off from our life and then focus on finding balance between our personal desire and also the responsibilities that we have, and focus on since the moment the woman will become mother, she will so much that she will want to do for the kids, but at the same point in time she will also require to take care of herself. So there also the principle of moderation works so beautifully, which she has to remember to take care of herself in order to be able to fulfill her responsibility more powerfully and beautifully. And she can also choose to release attachment and expectations from her parenting life and nurture a very harmonious relationship with her children and practice discernment in knowing when enough is truly enough. Now, Apigreha here can really encourage her to release the old thought patterns and identifications with so many different kind of thought patterns that she might have had in her past that are no longer serving her. She can invite a lot of love, generosity, and gratitude into her being, and she can embrace personal growth and self-discovery through the guidance of Apigreha. She can also invite a lot of respect for her children's unique path and experiences, and knowing that even though she has birthed them, but they are still going to have their own lives and their own unique path, and hence letting go of sense of possessiveness or attachment is so important in order to allow the children to blossom as they were born to blossom in a different color, in a different manner. But no matter how we imagine them to blossom, but they will blossom into the flower, into the fruit that divine has designed them inherently. So just knowing that and really imposing any kind of expectation upon them, letting go of all that urge to impose our own expectation inside of a motherhood journey. And through embodying these principles within the context of motherhood, she can create a very nurturing and respectful relationship with her children, and her action and choices will impact not only the well-being of herself, but also will give a very beautiful foundation for her connection with her children. And when she integrates, embodies the principle of ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, that will cultivate a loving and authentic space both for herself and her children to grow, learn, and thrive. Now, the positive effects of practicing yamas and niyamas on the baby. So, examining how the practices of yamas and niyamas can contribute to the well-being and development of the baby, we can see that the practice of yamas and niyamas during pregnancy can have a lot of positive impacts on the baby in many manners. So the first and foremost would be nurturing a peaceful environment. So when a pregnant woman practices ahimsa or non-violence, that can cultivate a very peaceful mindset, and it will create a harmonious environment for the baby in the womb. And the absence of stress, anxiety, and negative emotion will certainly contribute to a calm and nurturing atmosphere, which will positively impact the baby's development and overall well-being. Emotional bonding is another benefit, where when we embrace satya, which is the principle of truthfulness, and have open communication, and this will establish a very strong emotional bond with the baby, even when she starts to practice very open, authentic communication with the baby, as and when she's pregnant and she's willing to say her own truth to herself, then she will be willing to communicate it to her baby also when she becomes the mother, or even when the baby is inside the womb, listening to her true calling, listening to her true self. And this connection will be built on trust, love, and authenticity, and will create a very supportive environment for the baby's emotional development, beginning in the womb itself. Now, health and well-being will also be a great benefit of the practices. Now, when we practice socha, which is cleanliness, and maintain hygiene during pregnancy, this will ensure healthy and hygienic environment both for mom and the baby, and this will reduce the risk of infections and will promote the physical well-being of the baby as well. Positive mindset. So, cultivating santosha, or the principle of contentment, will help the mother to maintain positive mindset and emotional stability during pregnancy. And a content and joyful mother will promote a positive biochemical environment for the baby, and potentially leading to a very healthier, happier disposition for the child. Energy and vibrations. So when the mother practices tapas, which is the principle of discipline, and directs her energy towards self-care and positive activities, it will create a very positive energetic vibration around her and the baby. And this will certainly contribute to a harmonious energetic field that will support the baby's growth and development. Emotional resilience. is another and my favorite benefit of practicing yamas and niyamas during pregnancy itself. Now, through aparigraha, the practice of non-possessiveness and letting go of attachments, by practicing this, the mother will cultivate emotional resilience in her baby, and this mindset will allow her to navigate the challenges of pregnancy with grace and adaptability, and she will set an example for the baby to develop his or her own resilience and coping mechanisms. And by incorporating yamas and niyamas into the pregnancy journey, mother will create an environment that will support the baby's physical, emotional, and energetic well-being. And these practices will promote a positive, nurturing environment, laying a very beautiful foundation for the baby's future growth, health, and overall development. Now, let's look at the misconceptions of yamas and niyamas during pregnancy. And it's just not during pregnancy, and otherwise also, I have seen so many yogis over the years misconceiving the notion of yamas and niyamas from different aspects. So I want to throw some light on that. Now let's look at so during pregnancy, the practice of yamas and niyamas, the ethical and moral principles of yoga philosophy can bring numerous benefits for both mom and baby, but there are certain misconceptions that will arise around these when it comes to understanding and applying these principles during the transformative period. Now, it's really important that we address these misconceptions to ensure a very clear and accurate understanding of how yamas and niyamas can be practiced during pregnancy. So number one common misconception is rigidity and perfectionism. So this one is a misconception that practicing yamas and niyamas during pregnancy requires very strict adherence or perfectionism. It's not just during pregnancy, otherwise also. So that it requires very strict or perfect adherence to whatever the principle has to say. So it's really essential for us to remember that these principles are meant to guide and support us rather than creating an added stress or pressure onto us. So especially pregnant women really have to embrace that these principles has to be seen from an eye of self-compassion, and there has to be an allowance for flexibility in their application, and considering that the circumstances can be very unique in pregnancy specifically. Now coming on to physical limitation. So another misconception is that yama and niyamas are purely physical practices and that they may not be suitable or achievable during pregnancy. So while physical practices such as asanas, which are postures, may be modified or adjusted, the essence of yamas and niyamas can still be embraced through mindfulness, intention, and the application of ethical principles into our daily lives. Now, also another misconception is neglecting self-care, where we can actually choose to neglect our own self. And some may believe that focusing on, yamas and niyamas means neglecting self-care during pregnancy. However, self-care and the practice of ethical principles can go hand in hand, and by prioritizing self-care and nurturing one's well-being, mothers can embody the principle of non-violence, truthfulness, contentment, and other aspects of yamas and niyamas. Strict dietary restrictions. So yamas and niyamas are sometimes misunderstood as requiring very strict dietary restrictions during pregnancy. While a balanced and nurturing diet is important, but these principles can extend beyond the food choices. So they encompasses all aspects of one's lifestyle, so including thought, actions, and relationships. So one may, for example, there is a principle of tapas, which is the discipline. And tapas usually is conceived from a yogic point of view, from an ancient time, especially in India, from a standpoint of austerities, that you have to let go of all, and then you have to be very austerious in nature. And so, which may or may not be so true for a pregnant woman, because she might have to have cravings to eat, let's say, 5 times or 7 times in a day. When you're when you're practicing tapas, then it is about 6 strict rules on only to eat 2 times or 3 times or whatever, and it's fixed time. But we cannot be so strict in following those yogic rules at the time of pregnancy, but we can still take inspiration. For example, tapas means discipline, and we can integrate discipline into our lives from a standpoint that if it's healthier to practice, let's say, some meditation or chanting in yoga, in the daily life of being a pregnant woman, and she understands that how important it is for her life, then what she can really do is try her level best to practice each day at the same time. But if she's not able to practice that, then she can always choose to practice meditation for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, at whatever time is suitable for her. So really not being very rigid about it, but being flexible at applying these and taking best of the essence of these principles will be a great idea, rather than being very strict and rigid about it. Now, coming on to last or another misconception, I would say, is judgment and comparison. So it's really essential to avoid falling into the trap of judgment and comparison when we are practicing yamas and niyamas. So each woman's journey is going to be unique, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach. And embracing these principles with kindness and acceptance towards oneself and others is the key. So it's important that we dispel these misconceptions and understand that yamas and niyamas can be adapted and integrated into pregnancy journey in a way that supports the well-being of both mom and the baby. And when we approach these principles with flexibility, self-compassion, and deep understanding of their essence, mothers can experience a very transformative power of yamas and niyamas while honoring their special needs and considering their time of pregnancy as a very new journey in itself. Now, yamas and niyamas for emotional and spiritual health during pregnancy. So yamas and niyamas are foundational principles in the practice of yoga, as we know, and they can have a great impact on spiritual and emotional well-being of mothers as well. And these principles can provide really valuable guidance to support in navigating the transformative journey of motherhood with mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness. So as yama is the first limb of yoga, and it consists of principles that guide our behavior towards other and world around us. And when we apply these principles into pregnancy from an angle or a viewpoint of fostering emotional and spiritual growth, it can really lead us into creating a very deeper connection with our own self and with our unborn child. So, for example, ahimsa, the principle of non-violence, really calls the mothers for cultivating gentleness and compassion towards oneself and the baby. And when mother chooses to embrace self-care practices and making very conscious choices that will promote the well-being, and it continues to radiate sense of love and kindness towards the growing baby, and that will contribute to a very nurturing and harmonious environment for the baby. So non-violence can be applied to so many aspects, but also with her own mind and her own thoughts also. So the moment she has a lot of negative thoughts, the moment she is going into self-sabotage in any manner. All this is violence upon herself. And if she understands that how to really use the foundational principle of ahimsa towards the benefit of herself and the baby, she can really let go of those kind of patterns in favor for the baby, in looking towards contributing to the health and greater development of the baby. Now, Satya is another principle, which is principle of truthfulness, that can encourage the mother to honor her authentic emotions, her needs, her desires. And when she's willing to embrace that truthfulness, she can develop an open and honest communication in her environment with whoever she needs to be open to, and especially to her loved ones, and especially to the people she's surrounded by all the time, and also her healthcare providers or her doctors in her pregnancy journey, being really honest to what she really requires, how she likes to be taken care of. All this is going to serve her in her pregnancy journey, as well as it's going to benefit the child, because only mother knows how she would like to be taken care of, how she would want her birthing journey to be, how exactly she would like to be supported in her birthing journey. So all of this needs to be expressed authentically, and this will foster a sense of trust, understanding, and empowerment during her pregnancy journey. Asteya, which is the principle of non-stealing, urges the mothers to respect her own boundaries and not to deplete her energy unnecessarily, and once again prioritize self-care, setting healthy boundaries, and nurturing physical and emotional well-being. This will contribute to her emotional balance and a sense of empowerment during pregnancy. Brahmacharya, the principle of moderation or non-access here, non-excess, will invite the mother to cultivate emotional and energetic balance, and it really encourages her to channel her energy wisely and embrace a mindful approach of thoughts, actions, and relationships. And when she's practicing moderation and savoring into or anchoring herself over and over again into the present moment, she will learn to cultivate a sense of inner peace and harmony. Aprigraha, which is the principle of non-possessiveness, can really invite the would-be mom, to let go of attachment, expectation, and fear, and really surrender to the natural process of birthing and pregnancy. And the moment she is willing to trust into herself, into the journey as the divine has designed for herself, she will find a sense of contentment in the present moment, regardless of whatever her circumstances are, however worse the things are going, however they are not going as per the way she required or desired for. No matter how against they are going her will, she will find her moment of anchoring into the present moment. She will find her grounding, which will contribute to her emotional resilience and spiritual growth in long run as well. Now, coming on to Niyama, and how it can really benefit the mother into her emotional and spiritual journey. So, Niyama, as we know, is the second limb of yoga, and this focuses on personal observance and self-discipline. And these principles will complement the practice of Yama and will nurture a greater, deeper connection with oneself and the divine. So when practiced integratedly together, these bring about a great miracle and great results in lives of anyone practicing it. So coming on to the first principle of Niyama, which is Socha, or the principle of cleanliness, this can really encourage the mothers to cultivate purity in body, mind, and environment. And this not just involves, physical hygiene that she can maintain and consuming maybe nourishing foods, but at the same time, she can really focus on what kind of thoughts she's having, whether they are clean and pure or not, and whether, how her way of being in the moment, or her thought processes, or if she's anxious or or fearful. All this, just being able to stay observant around the cleanness of the mind, can really allow her to be positive and influence the baby emotionally and mentally in a very, very powerful and positive manner, and also develop the baby spiritually as also, and really work on the spiritual well-being of the baby also, because she is willing to practice mindfulness here. She is willing to stand for the purity of her thoughts and not just the environment. So physical cleanliness contributes to mental cleanliness. Physical decluttering contributes to mental decluttering, and they both are integrated and they both are interconnected. So hence, when we really receive the principle of Socha from a 360-degree view, it has a great role to play in anyone's life. Now coming on to Santosha, which is the principle of contentment. This will invite the mothers to embrace gratitude, acceptance, and inner peace throughout the pregnancy journey, and it will encourage them to find joy in each moment, celebrate the miracle of life that is growing within us, and this will, and she will also learn to approach all the challenges that will be coming her way through a lot of resilience and grace, and cultivate a sense of contentment. Cultivating a sense of contentment will also foster a lot of emotional well-being and positive outlook towards overall life, and hence will impact the spiritual and emotional well-being of the baby also at the same time. Now, tapas, which is the principle of discipline and self-control, encourage the mothers to establish positive routines and encourage her to engage in practices that support her physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So, regular yoga practice of asanas and other insightful wisdom tools, and meditation and yoga nidra, all those self-care activities can enhance her emotional resilience and cultivate a sense of inner strength if she is willing to practice them with discipline. Swadhyay, which is the principle of self-study, promotes self-reflection and introspection and personal growth. And this will invite mothers to explore her thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and deepening her understanding of herself, and also evolve in her role as a mother in future. Self-study will also support the emotional and spiritual development of the mom, and will foster a sense of self-awareness and empowerment. So she can incorporate so many different practices that requires her to explore her emotions more deeply, understand herself more, maybe morning journals, etc. So we'll talk about some practices that can be incorporated that are in coherence with practicing these principles. So Ishwar Paridhana, which is the principle of surrender to the higher power, invites the mothers to really trust in the wisdom of life and surrender to the divine unfolding of pregnancy and motherhood. And it really encouraged the mom to find solace, strength, and guidance in her own spiritual beliefs and practices. And this will cultivate a deep sense of connection and support for mom and the baby. Now, embracing Yama and Nima for self-care and bonding with the baby during the pregnancy. So, as we know that the practice of Yamas and Nimayas can have a very profound impact on so many aspects of life if we try to integrate it into self-care and mother-child bond. Then this can really offer a very beautiful nurturing environment both for mom and the baby. And these ethical principles of yoga can offer a mom very invaluable, very valuable guidance to enhance the well-being of herself and also cultivate a very deep connection with her baby. So Yama, which is the first limb, can guide her towards so many different practices that can allow her to be more caring not only for herself but for the baby. So when we see from the first principle angle of Yama, which is ahimsa, which is the principle of non-violence, it can really urge the mothers to practice self-compassion and kindness. And it will empower the mothers to prioritize their physical and emotional needs and allowing ample of self-care and rest. And by nurturing her own well-being, a mom can create a very positive environment that will positively impact both on herself and the baby's health. Satya, which is the principle of truthfulness, will encourage the mom to bring about very authentic changes into herself and strive for being honest and authentic in her thoughts, action, and communication. And it also involves listening to her inner needs and desires, and also connecting to the inner needs and desires of the baby, and you are somehow magically aware of that and being willing to listen to that. Just connecting in that space of purity and truthfulness also allows a lot to show up from the demands and the requests of the babies also, which is magically known and available to a mother. And if she's willing to embrace them also and establish a truthfulness, environment of truthfulness within her and listen to her own inner calling, this will create a foundation of, sense of trusting in oneself and also a sense of openness that will foster a deep connection with herself and the baby. Now, also looking at the principle of asteya, which is the principle of non-stealing. Here we have discussed before also, like honoring the personal boundaries and focusing on really bringing only those things in her space which does not take a lot from her, like really conserving an energy and not engaging. So non-stealing, so stealing is not just from the others, you sometimes steal from your own self also. So not really engaging into practices and any kind of practices where you are stealing off yourself, your own energy, you're letting go of, you're putting others before your own self and ripping apart your own self for the sake of others sometimes. Even that is stealing from your own self. And honoring those boundaries can be really seen here as non-stealing. And this might really involve setting real expectations also at times and seeking support whenever needed and avoiding overexertion. And really by practicing asteya, the mothers can create a very balanced and sustainable approach to self-care and positively impact their well-being and ability to bond with their baby. Now, niyama is the second limb of yoga, as you know, and when we focus on niyama and how it can help in self-care and bonding, we can really use the principle of socha, which is the sense of the principle of cleanliness, to encourage the mothers to cultivate physical and mental hygiene. And this can include maintaining a very organized and clean environment and engaging into practices that will purify her mind, let's say meditation or mindfulness practices. And by practicing Socha, mothers will create a very serene and harmonious space for themselves and the baby to promote a sense of calm and well-being. They can also apply Santosha, the principle of contentment inside of self-care, which will invite the mothers to find joy and gratitude in the present moment. This will encourage them to embrace the changes and the challenges of pregnancy with acceptance and equanimity. And by cultivating contentment, moms will create a very positive mindset that will radiate to their babies and foster nurturing and loving environment. And by incorporating the principles of Yamas and Niyamas together into their journey of being the mother and into their routine of self-care practices and deepening the inside of their commitment to deepen the bond with their child, they will create a very nurturing and loving environment that will support both of them in a very beautiful manner. Self-care while incorporating Yamas and Niyamas. So caring for yourself during pregnancy is a sacred journey that requires mindful attention and nurturing. And by incorporating the principle of Yamas and Niyamas, the ethical guidelines of yoga, we can cultivate a sense of self-compassion and create a very harmonious balance between our physical and emotional well-being. So some of the practical ways that moms can embrace Yamas and Niyamas while caring for themselves during the transformative time of pregnancy are this. So ahimsa, which is the principle of non-stealing, can really call mothers for self-compassion and kindness, as we've discussed before. So here what she can really do is listen to her body and honor her needs. She needs to take time for rest and relaxation to allow herself to recharge and replenish. So she can incorporate, practicing gentle movements and practicing prenatal yoga or walking in nature to connect with her body and promote her overall well-being. And she can remember to nurture herself in not a very selfish manner, but in an essential manner. That knowing that it's so essential for the well-being of herself and her baby. She can also incorporate Satya, which is a principle of truthfulness, by being authentic and honest to herself in a manner that she acknowledges and honor her emotions, and knowing that they are a very natural part of her journey as a mother, as well as a woman, as well as a human being, and really creating a space for self-reflection and journaling to explore her own thoughts and feelings, and being openly able to communicate her emotions and her true self to her support system, whoever is her support system, whether it's her partner or family or her healthcare providers, and anything that she needs or any concerns that she has, being able to truly express them will be putting Satya into practice, and trusting her in her own intuition and making the choices that will align with her values and desires also is putting Satya into practice. Astya, which is the principle of non-stealing, can really encourage the moms to set very healthy boundaries and prioritize self-care to nourish her body and mind. And this might include what if she really wants to enjoy relaxing baths and indulge in massages. So many women don't even allow time for that, and forget about the time. They don't even honor the need to rest. They don't even honor the need that they need to be physically taken care, and hence they do require that those massages or that care from someone else physically. So engaging in such activities where that will purely bring them joy and being willing to be cared for. So many women I've known personally who are not being willing to be cared for. who are not being willing to be, to allow someone else to physically take care of them, whether allowing someone else to cook for them, all of that. So really delegating tasks whenever required and asking for help whenever needed, and allowing others to support you especially during this pregnancy phase. So really remembering to honor our need, and while not being selfish, just knowing that it's necessary act of self-love. So just coming from that space, and that's where this is not stealing from your own self. Really caring is so self-love is not opposite of selfishness. So just knowing that, and that's so important inside of being pregnant and being mother also. So Niyama, which is the personal observances, can also really offer guidance for self-care and nurturing care. And Socha, the principle of fluidness that we have discussed, can allow and invite the moms to have the serene and harmonious environment. And we discussed this before also, but just adding on and reminding once again that when moms chooses to declutter and organize her physical space, this will create a sanctuary that will promote peace and tranquility into her mind, being, and environment. And when she chooses to engage in mindfulness practices like deep breathing, pranayamas, meditation, and essential oil therapies, all of that will create, cultivate an inner clarity and calmness. And she can surround herself with uplifting and positive influences also, whether it's just uplifting music, inspirational books, or nurturing relationship. All of these can be put into practice for self-care that represents the niyama of Socha or cleanliness. And Santosha, the principle of contentment, which encourages the moms to find joy and gratitude in the present moment. And also embrace the changes and challenges of pregnancy with acceptance and equanimity. All of this, so when she's willing to cultivate a daily gratitude practice, like reflecting on the blessings and the miracles of her journey, and celebrating small victories and milestones that are happening in her journey, and appreciating the incredible work that her body is doing to nurture the new life, and embrace self-compassion and letting go of all those expectations that she has about how things should go and how things should not go, etc. And allowing herself to flow with the rhythm of unique pregnancy experience, the rhythm of the divine, and really embarking on this journey while remembering to care for herself with love and compassion and mindfulness. This is the way she can really embrace the principle of Yamas and Niyamas as guiding lights to support herself in creating very loving and nurturing environment for both herself and the baby. So there are words of Rumi that resonates with this, that the entire universe is within us, and all that you wish to ask for, ask from yourself. So when we are willing to see it like that, we can really embrace all that is happening around us. Now, embracing these principles as the pillars for pregnancy. So Yamas and Niyamas can bring about so profound changes that we cannot just take them as the principle for pregnancy, but principle for life. So, for example, ahimsa, when we cultivate, self-compassion, prioritize our well-being, we are ensuring a very gentle and loving approach towards life itself. And satya, when we are encouraging to live ourselves truthfully and authentically, we are fostering a new life of open communication and choice of living empoweredly and living with a sense of empowerment to be able to make choices that are in alignment with our values. And us through us there, when we choose to live with understanding and remembering that we have certain boundaries and we are not willing to let go or rip ourselves apart of our valuable energy, we then allow ourselves to create a nurturing environment for ourselves. Then when we are willing to support ourselves with practices of socha and cleanliness in our environment, we can choose to live beautifully inside our mind as well as in our physical environment. When we are willing to embrace santosha, the principle of contentment, and the celebration of the present moment at all times, whatever the present moment is bringing, it's welcome in our space. Then we are embracing these yamas and nimas into our lives, and it also becomes a deeper invitation for ourselves to be self-aware, to nurture ourselves with kindness and create a very loving space, not only for ourselves but our families. And for mothers, they are nurturing new life, a new generation. She's modifying the DNA by being the exemplary yogini that she can be for her child, and bringing about a change that is not only for herself but for generations. So for a mother, the journey of pregnancy can become a very transformative experience where she will cultivate self-love, gratitude, and a beautiful connection and bond with her baby. So I hope this was helpful, and you can guide the mothers to use yamas and niyamas as the guiding light in supporting her pregnancy journey as a very nurturing and loving journey for herself and for her baby, and really receiving all the yogic practices from an eye of self-discovery and exploring a deep connection, not only with herself but also a new life that she's creating. And as a result of it, she finds herself to be a very expansive human being, the one who is filled with lots of love, compassion, and also self-love. So I hope this was helpful and this contributes to your journey as well as you being, it also empowers you to really give a lot of wisdom of yoga to the would-be mothers and empower them in a very beautiful way such that they can create a beautiful, high vibrational generation ahead. With that, thank you and